today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little set. I'm going to show you how to make the earrings, and then I'll go ahead and show you how to make this separate pendant and the necklace. In the very beginning I was just going to make another one of these units to make a pendant, and then I decided to make a little bit bigger pendant, so I went ahead and included that in the tutorial, though I wasn't going to originally. It's after I make the earrings I will come back and make the pendant, and then I wasn't going to show how I strung it, but I decided I would do that too. So I will come back and show you how to do that again too. So if you stay tuned, the entire thing will be on there, and otherwise you can just make another one of these pendants and string it too, another one of these units, and use it as a pendant. But I think this turned out really pretty. I went ahead and strung it with some more crystal, and it lays really pretty on the neck. It turned out really nice. So anyway, let's go ahead and look and see what we need to make this particular set. So let's go ahead and get started. We're just going to start with one earring first, and we're going to pick up 3 of our frosted silver here, and then 4 of the frosted silver, and then 1 of the galvanized silver, and then 4 of the frosted, 1 of the galvanized, 4 of the frosted, 1 of the galvanized, and then 4 of the frosted, and 1 of the galvanized. And I'll show you what I have here. So basically you want 4 sets of 4 divided by 1 of your second color of 11O seed beads. So you'll have 4 single in one color and 4 sets of 4 in the other color. Then you're going to bring these down to the end of your thread. Thread onto your needle about an arm's length and a half of thread. So measure from your fingertip to the middle of your chest with your arm stretched out, so the length of your arm. And then you're going to bring these down to the end of the thread. You don't have to leave a long tail, just enough to hold on to. And then we are going to go back from the tail side through the first 5 beads. So that means you will exit your first lighter colored or second color of bead and pull these into a circle like so. Now we're not going to tie a knot, so that means we have to sew around this one more time to somewhat secure it, and just make sure you don't pull tight on your working thread and pull your beads off. So I'm just holding them between my fingers, and I'm just going to continue sewing around all of the beads. And now I'm back where my tail thread is. Pull this tight into a nice little circle here. And now I'm going to sew down to this bead. Just because I'm not tying a knot, I want to be somewhat secure so that I don't easily pull my beads off. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew all the way down until I exit the second light silver seed bead here. And this is what I have. Now you don't want them to be extremely tight, but make sure there's no slack. Then you're going to pick up 2 of your frosted color, and then 1 of your galvanized color, 11Os. 2 of your frosted, and this is what you should have. And then you're going to go from this bead, you're exiting this side, so you're going to go all the way over to the next 11O on the side you're exiting from, and pull. And these will just lay on top of that first set of 4. And then your circle will loosen. Just go ahead and tighten it by pulling your tail thread. And you can secure your second set of beads by pulling your working thread. Pick up 2 frosted, 1 light silver, and 2 frosted. And then go into the next 11-0 seed bead. Just hold on to your circle between your thumb and your fingers and pull these down tightly. Turn. You can pull your threads to make sure everything's tight, and then do the same thing again. 2 frosted, 1 lighter color, and 2 frosted. And then go into the next silver seed bead, the bright silver, and pull those down. Tighten your tail thread and your working thread, and do that one more time. Is that bead funny? I think I put it on a funny seed bead, so let me back out here. I don't want a funny looking seed bead. Sometimes even in Japanese seed beads you will find a funny seed bead, and if you do, just eliminate it and put another one in its place. And then continue to your next set. 2 silver frosted, 1 bright, 2 frosted. And then into the first bead we started in. Now we're also going to travel through the 4 frosted and the next silver on the inside circle, the first circle we made. So here I am traveling through that. And I'm going to pull all this down. And I think I missed my silver seed bead, so I'm going to go back through it. So basically you're just going to travel through this silver one and these 4 and then through this one. Now that you're exiting this silver seed bead right here, you're going to pick up a 15-0, a bicone crystal, and a 15-0 onto your thread. You're going to travel from this seed bead on the inside circle to this seed bead on the inside circle. So into your next bright one on your original first circle you created. And you're going to pull these down. Tighten both your tail and your working thread. In a few minutes your tail thread won't loosen anymore, but right now it still does a little bit. And then I'm just kind of putting that crystal in between the 2 strands that I created, the 2 circles. And then I'm going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, a bicone crystal, and a 15-0 seed bead. I'm going to travel from this one to the next silver one on my original circle, the recessed silver one, and pull. And you can see things are starting to tighten up now. 15-0, bicone crystal, and a 15-0. Let's get a little bit closer, just so you can see really well. And we're coming out of this 11-0, we're going to go into this 11-0. I'm going to put my fingers over it and guide everything down. And then give a nice little tug. Kind of forcing that crystal down between the beads. Then I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a bicone crystal, and a 15-0, and go into the next one, plus I'm going to go into the 15-0 behind it, and the crystal, and just exit my crystal right here. Don't go into the other 15-0. Pull this all very tightly. Make sure everything looks good. And then you just have this funny looking little thing like this. Now we are going to pick up, we're coming out of the crystal. You do not want to be exiting that 15-0. If you are, back your needle out. And we're going to pick up a 3mm bicone crystal, and we're going to go into the next crystal. Neither one of the 15-0s on either side will be included, just the crystal. Now we're going to hold on tight to our beadwork, guide down with our thumb, and pull that bicone crystal in between the big bicones. Again, pick up another bicone crystal, the 3 millimeter, and go directly into the next crystal and pull. And then again, pick up a bicone crystal, go into the next crystal and pull. Pick up a bicone crystal, go into the next crystal and the one behind it and pull. Now we're going to go into the 15-0, or actually just into the next crystal. Don't go into the 15-0, just go into the next crystal right here. Now we want to travel down into this 15-0 right here and the 11-0 that's recessed underneath it. But first let's just go through that 15-0. Then we'll go into this 11-0 that's recessed. I said bicone, it's an 11-0. Don't listen to me. Go through that 11-0. And then bring yourself up into the 11-0s on top. Travel through all of them, like so. So I've gone through all 5 of these beads here. Now, we're coming out of this set of 11-0s. We are going to pick up an 8-0 seed bead and go into the next set of 11-0s. It's going right over the top of that recessed 11-0. We're going to put the 8-0 on top. Then go into the next 2 11-0s here. So you want to travel through all 5 of these 11-0s. Pick up an 8-0 and go into the next set of 5 11-0s. And sometimes you can get all 5 of them, like so. Sometimes you can't. So just travel through them. However, just make sure in the end you've gone through all of them. I am going to now cut off this tail because it's irritating and I don't like it. So I'm just going to cut it down. And lightly burn that, but I don't want it to fall into any of my, well, okay, well I cut it too short, so we'll just leave it there. And then I'm going to pick up an 8-0 seed bead and go into the next set. Go through all 5 beads and then into the next 8-0 and all 5 beads behind it until, pull everything really tightly until you travel through the next 8-0. So I'm exiting right here. I'm going to go through the next couple and exit through this 8-0. Pull it very tightly. Now you're going to pick up a bicone crystal, a 3 millimeter bicone crystal, and you're going to go up into this black crystal, the big 4 millimeter crystal. So you're coming out of the 8-0, you're going to go into the bicone here, like so, and pull very tightly. And then you're going to pick up a bicone crystal. Again, you're coming out of this side of the crystal. You're going to go into this 8-0 here and pull very tightly. Again, another bicone crystal. You're coming out of this 8-0, go into this 8-0 on the side closest to the 8-0 here and pull tightly. This is drawing everything together now, and it'll start to have a prettier shape if you're pulling it tightly enough. Just make sure as you pull through your crystals, you're pulling straight through and you're not pulling on the side of them, because you could break your thread if you do that. Now, We're coming out of this crystal. We're going to go into the next 8-0, pulling a 3mm bicone down against the crystals. Pick up another and go into the next crystal. Coming out of the 8-0, I'm going to go into this crystal here and pull. Let's get really close for the last one just in case we need that extra little boost there. Now I'm coming out of this bicone. I'm going to go into this 8-0. As I bring this up, I'm going to give it a nice tug. And then I'm going to pick up another bicone and go into the big bicone. And give it a nice tug. And now I'm coming out of this crystal. I need to put my last crystal in the first set I started. So I'm going to pick up a 3mm bicone crystal. I'm going to go into the 8-0 seed bead here and pull very tightly. Just to secure this, to make sure all my bicones are nice and secure, I'm going to go ahead and sew all the way through these 5 beads on the side here. So you're coming out of the 8-0, just sew through all 5 of these and the next 8-0, and then you're going to put the outside layer of crystals on. So we are going to get a little pile of crystals here. We're going to pick up 2 bicone crystals this time of the 3mm size. And then I'm coming out of this 8-0, I'm going to go into the 11-0 underneath the bicone crystal, the big bicone. So I'm going to skip 2 11-0s here and go into this middle one. And pull very tightly. Pick up 2 bicone crystals. You're coming out of this 11-0, you're going to go into the next 8-0 that's sticking out, like so. Then you're going to pick up 2 more bicone crystals and go into the 8-0 here, underneath the big bicone. And that's an 11-0, excuse me. So it's in the middle of your 11-0 strand there, or 11-0 portion. So you're coming out of the 11-0 in the middle here. You're going to pick up 2 bicone crystals and go into the 8-0. And again, 2 bicone crystals and go into the 11-0 underneath the 4mm bicone crystal. 2 3mm bicone crystals, perhaps. Okay, you come here. And then into the 8-0. Two, and then into the 11-0. And now we're back to where we started. We just need to go from this 11-0 to the 8-0 we started in. And I'm also going to slide through the first 2 bicones and the 11-0 between them. So exit the back, like so. Pull everything tight. Make sure it looks really good. I still got that funny little thread I left from my tail, but that's okay. I'll fix that. So anyway, here we are. We've got the entire front. Now we're going to go through these 2 11-0s here, because we're coming out of this 11-0. We'll go through those 2 11-0s. And as you can see, there's a little thread bridge right here between the 8-0 and the 11-0. And we're going to go under it and tie a knot. So make yourself a loop, go through the loop, pull your knot down, go through that 8-0 and the next couple of 11-0s. And then we're going to work our way, and straighten up the back of this. There we go. Once I get rid of that funny little tail, it'll look a lot better. Let's see if I can do this without damaging my threads. There we go. Okay, now we want to get up to this 8-0 seed bead here. Make sure that's the one, yes. So we are coming out of these 2 11-0s here. we are going to sew up these two 11-ohs. So let's see. Yeah. We're going to go up into the next 3 11-ohs, and then we'll be exiting right beneath that 8-oh we are targeting here. Then go up into that 8-oh. Okay. Make sure everything's nice and tight. We're exiting this 8-oh right on the top of our piece here. And we're going to pick up an 11-oh in the bright silver color. Actually, 2 11-ohs in the bright silver color. And then I'm going to pick up my 4mm bicone crystal. And then I'm going to pick up an 8-oh. This is what I have. And I'm going to drop this down to my piece. And then I am going to pick up 7 15-oh seed beads. Here, I'll back off so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to pick up 7. And make sure, because they're popping all over the place. So I've got 3, 6, 7. Okay. Now I'm going to let that drop down to my piece. I'm going to take my 7 15-ohs, and I'm just going to go back down through the 8-oh, the bicone, and the first 11-oh. Let me get you closer. So I'm just going through these 3 beads here, and I'm going to pull this down. Hold on to all of it, and pull it down. This is what you should have. Now, you're going to pick up another 11-oh seed bead. And we started all this from this side of this 8-oh. We're going to go into the opposite side of the 8-oh, pick up an 11-oh, and go through that 8-oh. I'm just going to turn my piece over. You can see the 8-oh better. I'm going to go through it. Like so. Try not to get any of your crystals involved here. Just go through that 8-oh and pull this 11-oh down, and we're going to have to straighten this all out by pulling on our thread. Let me turn it over so you can see what it looks like. That's what that looks like. Now I'm just going to turn it over and sew back up through all of this again so I can secure it. So it's easier if you turn it over because you can see your beads better. So I'm coming out of this 8-oh. I'm going to go up through the 11-oh. I'm going to go up through the 11-oh under the crystal and the 8-oh over on top of the crystal. And I'm going to pull all this tight. Make sure that everything is nice and tight and pretty. And then I'm going to go through all of my 15-oh seed beads, which can be a real joy. I should have gone through a couple to start with, but that's okay. I'll get through them. I always do. And then I'll sew through down all of these beads. I'm exiting now out the 11-oh on the bottom here. Then I'll go into the 11-oh on this side of the 8-oh. And then I'll go into the 8-oh. Arrange it, make sure it looks nice before we tie our knots. I always like to open up my seed beads like so. Just put something in the middle and open them up. And then I'm going to sew down these 3 beads here. So I'm coming out of the 8-oh, I'm just going to go down several beads. Don't pull so tight that you get your attachment out of whack here. Just pull it enough to where it's nice and pretty, and then go underneath the thread bridge. Right here. Pull your thread through, making sure you don't get any of your crystals or your beads. You want them to go down in between. So I'm pulling a loop, and then I'm just going to very gently pull this down in between my beads. And then I'm going to go into the next two 11-0s and the 8-0 here. And I don't want to go through that crystal, just the 8-0. And pull. Now I'm going to cut my thread. Straighten my stuff up here. Some of these beads get pulled a little out of whack. And so you want to straighten them up because you can see the back of earrings, so you want to make sure they look good. I think what my problem was, some of these beads in this batch are a little odd shaped. And I don't normally have that problem with Tohos, but this particular batch has some odd shaped beads in it. I can see right here one's fatter than. So I'm just going to straighten them up. And I'll show you my original one. See how nice and neat that looks, whereas these look kind of funny, and that's because I have a couple of odd-shaped beads, which I wasn't paying close enough attention to. Okay, so that's what your set of earrings looks like. I'm going to just go ahead and open an ear wire and put it on. So I'll get my flat nose pliers here and open, see what side is open, this side. I'm going to open it like so from side to side, and I'm going to slide my earring on it and close it. And then I'll do the same with the other one. Now, the exact same component can be a pendant also. So I'll make another component and I will string it and I'll show you what it looks like as a pendant. If you're going to use it as a pendant, you will just have to turn your connection. Of course, put your ear wire on the right way too. I didn't put that one on the right way. So anyway, if you're going to make it as a pendant, when you string it, you'll just turn this particular part to the side so that you can string through it from side to side. If you're going to do it as an earring, you want it facing this way, but it'll rotate, so you can do either way. I wonder if I can rotate this around. No. So let me put the earring on the proper way, and I will make a pendant and I will show you what I've done with it. Okay, so I have decided that I want to make my pendant a little bit bigger than my earrings. Now, I don't have any of this color of bicone, the hematite bicone, in 6mm, so I'm going to add some clear 6mm bicones and change it up just a little bit from the earrings. But I thought I'd go ahead and include the tutorial on how I'm going to do it, in case you would like to make a larger pendant. Of course, you can always just make another one of these and put it on a chain. Make it exactly the same as you've made your earring and put it on a chain or string it onto something. But I am going to start with 6 instead of 4. I'm going to pick up 6 of my first 11-0 seed beads. Then I'm going to pick up my bright colored 11-0 and then 6 of my frosted silver. So I have 6 and then 1, and we're going to do this exactly like we started the other one, except for there's going to be 6 beads in between each single bright colored silver bead. So we're going to have 4 sets of 6 and 4 bright colored 11-0s in between the sets of 6 darker ones. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So then an 11-0, and I'll show you what I have. 4 sets of 6 of the frosted silver, and then 1 bright silver in between each set. I start with a set of 6 and end with a bright 11-0, the end here. Then I'm going to bring these down to the end of my thread and come back through just like we did on the earring. Then we're going to sew back through all of these beads. Now I'm all the way back to where my thread, my working thread and my tail thread are. I'm just going to go ahead and go through a few more beads and exit the next silver bead. I'm going to go ahead and sew down to the next one too, just to secure it a little more. So basically just sew through until you're 2 bright silver beads away from the series of 6 darker beads. And then I am going to pick up 3 of the frosted 11-O's and 1 of the bright one, and then 3 of the frosted. So I have 7 beads on my needle. I'm going to go from this silver bead over to this silver bead. Make sure you're going into the silver bead on the side where your thread is coming out. Don't cross over the other direction. Then pick up 3 11-O's in the dark color, 1 in the light color, and 3 in the dark color. And then go into the next silver bead. And we're going to continue this all the way around, just like we did in the earrings. So go ahead and put your last 2 netted portions on, come out of this silver bead, slide through the middle beads, and exit this bead here, just like we did in the earring tutorial. And we'll be back. Okay, and this is what you should have. After you put on your last strand, you'll go through the 11-O, the 3 11-O's, or the 6 11-O's on the inside, and exit the next recessed bright 11-O right there, so that you're ready to start your next step. And this is exactly the way we did it in the earring tutorial. So refer back to it if I've confused you. Now we are going to pick up an 11-O in the bright color, and then a 6mm bicone and an 11-O. And we're going to go from this 11-O into the next 11-O. And we're going to pull this bead into the section between the beads, just like we did previously on the earrings. Let me get my tail out of the way, and we're going to do that again all the way around. 11-O, 6mm bicone, and 11-O, and go into the next 11-O. Right there. And pull. Bring it in tight. Make sure you tighten these nicely. Kind of push them down between the 2 strands of 11-O's on your circle. Make sure they arrange nice, and continue putting 2 more of the 6mm bicones. Exit this recessed 11-O down here, and we will be back. Okay, this is what you should have now, and you should be coming out of this 11-O seed bead right here between the original beads on your circle here, right there. And then we're going to go up into the 11-O that is on the side of the crystal, and through the crystal and exit the crystal. Don't go through the other 11-O on the other side. Make sure everything is tight and looks good. Now we're going to pick up a 4mm bicone crystal, and I'm going to use my hematite so at least my color scheming matches my earrings. And then I'm going to go into the next 6mm bicone and I'm going to pull my thread through. And tangle it everywhere. Get my tail out of there. So I'm just pulling that 4mm bicone crystal between the 6mm, and then I'm going to pick up another. I'm coming out of this 6mm, ignore all those little 11 O's on the bottom there, and go through the next 6mm bicone crystal and pull your bicone in like so, and continue all the way around. Then on the last one, go ahead and go through the crystal and the first crystal that you put between the beads, and pull your last crystal in between, like so. Then we're going to go into this 11O seed bead right underneath the bicone that you just put on. Go underneath into this 11O and into the crystal, the one right in front of the clear crystal here. And then we're going to go down again into the next 11O and the 11O underneath it in the original circle. So this is the 11O on the other side of the crystal. This is the 11O in the circle, the recessed one. Just go through that 11O right there and pull tight. Now you're coming out of the recessed 11O here. We're going to go into these 4 beads here. And then we are going to go ahead and just pop over into the next 4 beads right here. So go through all 7 of those beads on top, and then you're going to pick up an 8O seed bead and go into the next set. And pull. And we're going to do this all the way around. Go into the next set, go through all 7 beads, and then where there's a space, you're going to put in an 8O seed bead, and then go into the next 7 beads. Oops, gotta go through all of them. I'm going to get rid of this tail because it's just in the way. And pick up my next 8O and go through the next 7 beads. Go all the way around, filling in all the gaps between the netted portions of your piece here. And now we have to put in one more 8O right here. Make sure you stay in the top strand of your netting. So don't get into these bottom ones here. Just stay into the very top one that kind of sticks out. And then we are coming out of this little 11O now. We're going to sew through these 11Os and come out of the 8O. We are then going to pick up some, actually, let's use some 3mm clear crystals. So we're coming out of the 8O. Now we're going to go into the large bicone in between this bicone and this bicone. Just go into the large one, pick up your little 3mm bicone and pull. Now you're coming out of the large bicone, pick up a 3mm bicone, and go into the 8/0, just like we did on the earrings. And again, pick up a small bicone and go into the large bicone. Working all the way around the piece, pulling it tightly so that it cinches in. Out of the large bicone into the 8/0, out of the 8/0 into the large bicone, all the way around. Pull them tight. Okay, now I'm going to sew up into my first bicone that I put on. So I'm coming out of the 8/0, going to go into the little clear one that I just put on, and into the large one that it's lying next to. Then I'm going to come down into the small bicone on the other side of it, right here. And into the 8/0. Now I'm going to pick up two 4mm bicone crystals, and I am going to go from this 8/0 to this 11/0. So the one that's in the middle of the darker colored 11/0s, I'm going to go into it and pull these down to where they just kind of open up. And then pick up two more of your bicone crystals, 4mm, and go into the next 8/0. And all the way around. So come out of the 8/0, go into the 11/0 in the peak of the netting portion, right here. Let me back off a little bit. And I need to get some more bicones out. I've got a couple here. So just continue going all the way around the entire piece, going from 8/0 to 11/0 in the middle of the strands. Pull tightly, make sure everything cinches up really nicely, and continue until you get to this 8/0, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have gone all the way around, and you can see what I've come up with. Now, with this particular design, the way that you do your color scheming gives you different effects. I did one here in red with clear crystals, and all I did was use my 4mm in between as a red one, and then my 3mm right underneath it, the same color red. So it's the exact same thing, just different color scheming, and it comes up with a different design. And this one on top here is exactly the same as the earring component, except that I used a different color scheming. Instead of using clear crystals in between them, I used red, and then I did the clear on the outside. So you can make it look very different just by doing a different color scheme, putting your bicone crystals in a different order on, in a different color. Not in a different order, same sizes, just change your colors up and you get a different result. This one I'm making a longer pendant hooked together, and in this one I'm just going to make a single pendant, and it should match fairly well with my earrings. Now I'm coming out of this 8/0 seed bead right here. I'm going to come up through this bicone right here. And then I am going to pick up 3 11/0 seed beads, an 8/0, and then I'm going to pick up, let's see, a 4mm crystal, I think. Maybe I'll use a black one. Come up through it, let's see. And then I'm going to pick up 7. Now if you're going to use something really big to string it on, pick up more than 7 15 seed beads. Pick up as many as you need to get around whatever you intend to string it on. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with, I'm going to go with 7 because I'm going to use a smaller wire. 2, 4, 6, 7. So now I've got 7 15 seed beads. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and add 9. I'm gonna go with 9 just to make sure I have a little bit broader opening. Now I'm going to go through the crystal, the 8/0, and the first 11/0 and pull this down. And then I'm going to pick up 2 more 11/0 seed beads. And I'm going to cross over and go into the outside of this crystal here. So I'm coming out of the outside of this one. I'm going to go on the other side of the 8/0 that's in the center here, and then go into the 8/0 also and pull this down like so. Then I'm going to go back up into this crystal, the first one I came through originally, go into it, and I'm going to sew through my clasping and secure it by just going up through all my beads again, back through the bottom into the bicone through the 8/0, and I'm going to do that a couple of times to secure it, and we'll be back to knot it off. Okay, so I have sewn through and secured my bail that I've made here, and I've turned my beads sideways. You can leave them forward facing like this if you'd like and put a jump ring in it and then string it onto a chain or whatever you'd like to, or you can turn them sideways like this and string through them when you are making the necklace portion. Now I'm coming out of this 8/0 after securing everything. I'm going to, let's get you close, I am going to slide through to the back of my piece. So I'm just going to stick my needle through and go to the back of my piece. Make sure you don't tangle your thread on anything strange. And then just come up through a few of these beads on the back. And then grab a thread bridge. There's one right here between the crystal and the 11/0. I'm going to grab a hold of it the best I can here and pull my thread through, make a loop, and tie a knot. And then I'm going to go into a few more, go into this 8/0 here and pull tight, and then I'm just going to cut off my thread. You can sew through as much and tie as much as you want. I just find that on a little pendant like this, it's not going to get that much stress. It's going to be fine. And I don't want to sew through and bungle up all of my nice little crystals. Straightening up the beads in the back, that's what the back looks like. This is what the front looks like. And these are what the earrings look like. And I will string something for my pendant, and I think it makes a cute little set. And like I said, you can do the color scheming exactly the same as you do in the earrings too, if you'd like I did on this one. This could be an earring and this could be a pendant on its own. You can do it any way you want to so that they match better, or you can have them a little bit different like this. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, I'm going to string my pendant and I'll show you what it looks like and we'll be done. Okay, so I've decided to go ahead and show how I'm going to string my pendant because I may get questions, so I may as well just go ahead and do it. And I'm just going to keep this pretty brief. Most people should be familiar with how to do these things. I'm using size 2 Beadalon crimp beads in the hematite color. I'm using some tiger's tail. It's just a fine to medium size. And I am going to cut I have cut about 22 inches of it. I probably want my necklace to be about 20 inches, 18 to 20. So I've given myself some room to work with it. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my pendant on to the piece of tiger wire. Then I'm going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead, an 11/0 seed bead. So I've centered it. It's right in the center. And on one side of the wire, I'm going to pick up an 8/0, a 4mm bicone, an 11/0, a 4mm bicone, and I'm going to drop that down. Then on the other side of the wire, I'm going to do the same thing. 8/0, 4mm bicone, 11/0, 4mm bicone, and then I am going to put the wires together, center everything. So I've just put my two ends together. Make sure that that's pretty centered. And then I'm going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead and slide both wires through it and pull it down. It's arguing with me. Okay, so obviously that's not going to stay like that, so we have to crimp it. So let's see if I want to put an 11/0 or anything in there. Yeah, I think I'm going to put two 11/0s and then an 8/0, just so that there's no wire showing. So I'm going to pick up an 11/0 on either side. I've pulled my 8/0 off. I'm going to put an 11/0 on either side. And I'm just designing this as I do this, so bear with me. And then I'm going to put my 8/0. Or you could put another crystal. Let's do that. Let's put another crystal. 4mm bicone crystal. It'd be a little bit prettier. See if we can get both the wires in it and pop it down. Now you have to pull both of your wires pretty tightly, like so. And that's what that's going to look like. And I'll show you once I don't have to hold it so tightly. But right now I know that that's going to cinch up nice. And you can let go of it and let it move around for a second and pick up one of your crimp beads and slide it down both wires. Okay, let me do that again. I center these wires better here. They don't have to be perfect on the end because I'm going to cut them down a little bit anyway, but you want them somewhat centered. And then pull your crimp bead all the way down. Let me get you a little closer so you can see now. So I have all my beads on. I pull my crimp bead down a little bit tighter. Make sure that there's no wires showing. Pull on both wires individually. Get everything nice and tight. And then I'm going to use my magic crimpers, which makes a little round shape of the bead. You can use your regular crimpers. It doesn't matter. Just retain the shape of the beads around the pendant by grabbing a hold of that crimp bead, pull it down and pull on your wires and then start to crimp. Now with the magic crimper, it's a little bit harder to use, so it's going to take me a minute to actually get this to work and try to keep my tension at the same time. So what you do with the magic crimper is you just basically move around the bead until you form a crimped round bead. And it doesn't always work perfect. They're not my favorite way of crimping, but it turns out pretty if you can get it. And it doesn't want to crimp. Then you just circulate around it and crimp it. keeping the tension on your wire, keeping everything from separating, is a little bit difficult trying to do this, but I'm accomplishing it, I think. So I just keep crimping around this. So the magic crimper just has a little round groove in it, and you just keep crimping around it and going around it and going around it until you get a nice little tightly crimped round bead shape. But there again, I've lost some of the tension, but I think it's going to lay okay. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I think that's going to be okay. So that's what that looks like. Now, if you use your regular crimpers, it's a lot easier, and you can retain your tension. And what I mean by that is these beads want to slip away. And if you can't keep it all tight towards the bottom of where you're trying to crimp, it can get messy and wiry. So you want to make sure that you can get a nice tight crimp there, retaining all the beads in the shape that you put them in. And then separate your wires and pull on them a little bit. And I'm just going to pick up a couple 15-0 seed beads on each wire. So if you're using a wire that's thicker and you cannot pick up 15-0s, then go for an 11-0. But I'm just going to pick up a couple 15-0s just to give myself a little division on the wire here. If I can get a couple. And that's what I have. Now I can start stringing either side. And from this point, you just string whatever beads you want on either side until you get to the length you want. Make sure each side is identical with the beads you put on it, and then crimp the ends. So I'm gonna start with a couple crystals, and then I think I'm just going to move into, I don't know, I may use some 8-0 seed beads with it. I haven't decided yet. But I'm going to put a couple of 6mm clear crystals on here. And you can do each side one bead at a time, or you can just do one side and then copy and do the other side. So that's what I've got so far. I'm going to go ahead and string the rest of my beads on. And then we'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, I have strung both ends. I just did both of them at the same time and made them exactly alike. And then I put a little clip on one end so I can work with the other end without it falling off. So what I'm going to do is I've decided to get a couple inches of chain. I opened up the chain and put a closed jump ring on either side, a large jump ring, and I have this lobster claw clasp. Just make sure whatever clasp you have will fit over your jump ring or into your chain that you're using, like so that you can use this as an extender. And we're going to start with one end, and we're going to put the lobster claw on it. Now, of course, you could use another jump ring and then attach your lobster claw to it if you'd like. And actually, it would have to be an open jump ring since the lobster claw isn't open. But I'm just going to drop my crimp bead on and then my lobster claw, and then I'm going to come back through, and you can see I have quite a bit of wire left. I decided not to make this tremendously long because of the way this hangs down. I want it to hang down right like V neckline. So I'm making this part a little bit shorter than I originally intended, simply because I have this length here. You just need to measure it on your neck or on a beadboard and do the length you want. I'm going to come back through the crimp bead, the two 8-0s that I put underneath at the very end here, and the crystal, one of my last crystals, and I'm going to make sure to leave quite a bit of room in my loop for my lobster claw to move around on, so that I don't have an issue when I go to clasp my necklace. Let's see, maybe that's a little too much room. just make sure that it has enough to move around. And then, of course, you don't want a lot of slack between your beads, but a little bit you do want. So right here, I have a little bit of room, and that's okay. That's going to give some room for my beads to move around on my wire without breaking a bead or the wire. And you can see I've left a fairly decent sized loop. Now I'm going to make sure my wires are parallel through my crimp bead, and I'm just going to use regular crimp pliers this time. And I'm going to go to the back of my crimp pliers and crimp. So squeeze it so that it encases both of your wires like so, and then the other way. Up in the front, you turn it sideways, you use the other groove and close it. Now I have all this in much better detail on my beginner's channel. I'm not doing this in great detail. So if you would like to learn how to crimp, go to my beginner's channel. There's a few different tutorials that will show you how to do that. So now I have crimped off my beads, and you can see they move around a little bit on your wire. You never want them to be really, really tight, because then you're going to break your wire or a bead or something like that. So then I'm going to go to the other side, take off the clip, pick up my crimp bead, pick up one end of my chain that I prepared with my closed jump rings, go through one of the closed jump rings, go down into the crimp bead, the 2/8-ohs, and my first crystal on my strand here, and pull this down. And this one you can make a little bit tighter. It doesn't have to be a bigger loop, it can be a smaller loop, and I'll show you what I mean. You don't want it to be extremely tight, but you don't want it to be really loose either. And then where my wire is coming out between my 8/0 here and this crystal, it leaves a little bit of room, and I'm not going to worry about that because that's going to give the room for my beads to move around on my strand. And then I'm just going to go ahead and crimp this one too. Go to the back of the pliers, crimp, go to the front of the pliers, turning sideways, and do it again. Make sure it's secure. Cut off your wire. And there you have it. You see a nice ending to my necklace here. And of course you can put a crystal or something on the end here if you want to, and make it a little fancier. So let's put this together. Give my wire a little bit of movement there. Let's see, we can make it prettier. And then I will get the earrings. Let's move out a little bit so you can see what this actually looks like. And here are my earrings. And I think that makes quite a pretty set. And I did put this around my neck to see how it would hang before I put the ends on, and it hangs really pretty. It works really nicely. So it all worked out fine, and I hope you had patience with me while I was designing here, but I think it's a cute little set. It doesn't take long to do, and you can do it in any color, any combination of colors, and end up with a really nice little set. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Bye-bye.